National gas prices are climbing toward $5 per gallon in 2026. Here are the top 10 cheapest states right now, where you can save hundreds on your next road trip. At number 10, Missouri delivers a strategic edge for drivers chasing lower fuel costs. In April 2026, median gas prices hovered around $4.04 per gallon. Missouri's savings stem from its position along the Mississippi River and major interstates like Interstate 70 and Interstate 55. River barge freight moves gasoline at about 2 cents per gallon, which is cheaper than overland routes, while a 17-cent state excise tax keeps added costs in check. The result is a price range from $3.37 to $4.93, offering nearly $1 off the national average. For anyone crossing the Midwest, planning a fill-up in Missouri can mean meaningful savings, especially on long-haul trips. Number 9. Alabama delivers a real break for drivers heading along the Gulf Coast. With average gas prices ranging from $4 to $4.10 per gallon in April 2026, Alabama's advantage comes from its direct pipeline access and the massive Mobile Gulf Terminal. More than 600,000 barrels per day move through Mobile, feeding the Alabama-Georgia pipeline and keeping wholesale costs low, sometimes shaving freight expenses to just 3 cents per gallon. The state's excise tax sits at 18 cents, undercutting the national average. For anyone traveling Interstate 10 or Interstate 65, planning a fill-up in Alabama can mean real savings, especially as prices elsewhere push closer to $5 per gallon. The state's infrastructure turns Gulf supply into lower pump prices, making it a smart stop for budget-conscious road trippers. 8th place, Kansas delivers a real advantage for drivers crossing the Central Plains, thanks to its direct link to the Cushing Pipeline Hub. In April 2026, gas prices averaged between $3.98 and $4.10 per gallon, so Kansas sits just below the national median. The pipeline spine from Cushing to Kansas keeps wholesale costs low, moving fuel efficiently from the nation's largest storage hub right into the state. BNSF and Union Pacific Rail lines add another layer of supply. With fuel freight rates averaging about 9 cents per gallon, Kansas's excise tax stands at 23 cents, slightly higher than some neighbors, but the logistics edge more than makes up for it. For anyone traveling Interstate 70, filling up in Kansas can mean meaningful savings as national prices edge closer to $5 per gallon. Number 7. Texas brings industrial muscle to the gas price battle. With April 2026 pump prices ranging from $3.98 to $4.10 per gallon, Texas stands out for its vast Gulf Coast refinery network, processing over 3 million barrels a day, and a direct pipeline connection to the Permian Basin. This combination lets Texas refineries turn domestic crude into gasoline at a massive scale, keeping supply high and wholesale costs in check. The state's 20-cent gas tax is slightly above some neighbors, but the sheer volume moving through Houston, Baytown, and Corpus Christi makes up the difference. For drivers on Interstate 10, Interstate 35, or Interstate 45, filling up in Texas means tapping into one of the most efficient refinery-to-pump systems in the country. That supply advantage keeps Texas near the top for savings, even as prices elsewhere creep toward $5 per gallon. Number 6. Nebraska offers a real edge for cross-country drivers trying to squeeze the most out of every fill-up. With average gas prices falling between $3.97 and $4.08 per gallon in April 2026, Nebraska stands out for its straight-shot efficiency along Interstate 80. This corridor stretches across the state in a nearly unbroken line, which means trucks and cars burn less fuel per mile, saving both time and money. Add in the BNSF rail network delivering gasoline from Gulf ports at low freight rates, and the savings start to stack up. Nebraska's excise tax holds steady at 22 cents per gallon, keeping added costs in check. For anyone planning a long-haul journey, filling up in Nebraska can keep budgets from running dry, especially as national prices push toward $5 per gallon. In the number 5 spot, Arkansas delivers a rare double advantage for drivers trying to stretch their fuel budget. With average gas prices from $3.95 to $4.03 per gallon, Arkansas keeps cost in check thanks to the Little Rock refinery complex and a robust barge network along the Arkansas River. This inland refinery handles about 250,000 barrels a day, while the upgraded river lock system lets barges move gasoline from the Gulf for around 2 cents a gallon in freight costs. The state's excise tax sits at just 19 cents per gallon, lower than much of the region. For anyone making the Dallas to Memphis run along Interstate 30 or Interstate 40, filling up in Arkansas means tapping into both refinery supply and waterway distribution, a combination that keeps prices stable and reliably low, even as national averages close in on $5 per gallon. Number 4. Louisiana turns refinery power into real savings for both gasoline and diesel drivers, with average prices hovering between $3.92 and $4 per gallon. Louisiana's edge comes from its unmatched concentration of refineries, about 4 million barrels per day in capacity, the highest anywhere in the country. Deep water ports in New Orleans and Baton Rouge keep crude flowing in and finished fuel moving out, holding transportation costs down. But what sets Louisiana apart is its 2025 diesel rebate, which knocks 9 cents off every gallon for commercial fleets and qualifying drivers. That policy, combined with a 21-cent gasoline excise tax, means diesel here runs 15 to 25 cents below the national average. For truckers, recreational vehicle owners, or anyone planning a long haul, filling up in Louisiana can mean dual fuel savings that add up fast. In a year when every cent counts, Louisiana's blend of refinery access and diesel incentives makes it a must-stop for anyone watching their fuel budget. Coming to the top 3, Mississippi pulls ahead on price by leaning on one of the lowest state gas taxes in the country. At the pump, drivers see regular unleaded averaging between $3.92 and $4 per gallon, a solid notch below the national average that is closing in on $5. What sets Mississippi apart is not a sprawling refinery network or a complicated logistics web, but a simple policy choice, a flat 17 cents per gallon excise tax, well under the national average of 33 cents. That tax policy acts as a direct discount, letting retailers keep prices lower without squeezing supply margins. Gulfport and Biloxi terminals funnel gasoline straight from the Gulf Coast, so supply stays steady even as prices spike elsewhere. For families heading south on Interstate 55 or vacationers making a Gulf Coast run, filling up in Mississippi can deliver real savings, especially when every dollar counts. In a year where tax policy makes the difference, Mississippi's approach keeps it near the bottom of the price charts. In second place, Georgia turns its Southeast logistics network into real savings at the pump. In April 2026, prices ranged from $3.91 to $4.09 per gallon. Georgia's advantage comes from sheer market throughput. Atlanta stands as a freight powerhouse, with Interstate 75 and Interstate 85 corridors funneling gasoline from the Port of Savannah straight to a dense web of retail stations. The Savannah to Atlanta pipeline, moving over 250,000 barrels a day, keeps supply lines full and competition fierce, especially around Metro Atlanta, where station density drives margins down. Even with a 24-cent state excise tax, the highest among the top 10, those logistics efficiencies keep average prices well below the national mark. But there is a catch. A proposed tax hike called House Bill 732 could push costs higher if it is passed later this year, making Georgia's spot on this list less secure. For now, travelers heading through Georgia can take advantage of a tightly run supply chain and a competitive market, stretching every dollar as national prices edge toward $5 per gallon. Oklahoma stands alone as the cheapest state to buy gas in 2026, with regular unleaded averaging between $3.89 and $3.99 per gallon. Oklahoma's edge comes from more than just low taxes or refinery access. It is the Cushing storage hub that makes the difference. Cushing holds over 90 million barrels of crude, acting as a giant buffer that shields the state from sudden national price spikes. When the rest of the country surged toward $5 per gallon during the April price shock, Oklahoma's median barely budged, holding steady, while prices elsewhere jump by $1 or more. That stability translates directly into savings. For a typical cross-country trip of 3,000 miles, the per-gallon gap, about $1.55 below the national benchmark, means a mid-size sedan can save around $186, while a heavy-duty truck driver could pocket nearly $387 just by planning their fill-ups here. The state's 18-cent gas tax, locked in since 2018, keeps costs predictable and prevents surprise surcharges at the pump. Interstate corridors, like Interstate 35, Interstate 40, and Interstate 44, knit together a dense network of low-cost stations, making it easy for travelers to take advantage. For families, commuters, or anyone plotting a summer road trip, routing through Oklahoma isn't just smart. It is a concrete way to keep hundreds of dollars in your wallet, even as the rest of the country braces for $5 gas. Across all 10 entries, one pattern stands out: geography and policy shape your budget at the pump. In 2026, driving through these states can mean saving $200 to $400 on a single trip. For families and road trippers, smart route planning isn't just practical, it's essential. Safe travels and happy saving.